Hi everybody, it's Alex. Welcome to Somewhere in October. This is the, let's call it opening ceremony of the first annual March Madness Somewhere in October bracket. That's a long title, but I plan to do these more than just in March, but we're definitely going to do them every March. I actually have one planned for the fall, not telling you what it is, but we are doing the best 70s horror movies. It's also horror adjacent, thrillers and stuff can go in there as well. I'm going to put the bracket on the screen so you can see all the movies that we have. It'll also be listed in the description. And I randomized it. It's random just to make sure that it's fair and that we're really diving in. And the truth is, when you play a tournament or you do a bracket, it really does depend who you're up against who ultimately becomes the winner. Yes, is there going to be some dominant players in this game? Always. But actually, if you look at the right side of this bracket, there's going to be some dramatic mashups that we're going to get through. So this video is going to introduce you to how this is going to work, what I want you to consider when you vote, and what video at the end of the day is going to be produced from this. And there's going to be a lot of first watches. I'm going to do so many first watches of these, actually as many as I can. Some of them will be Patreon exclusive, most of them will be on the channel, so stay tuned for that, but let's just dive into what this is going to look like. This is being posted today, February 28th. I am going to start daily polls at 12 Eastern Time on the channel. I will leave each poll up for 48 to 72 hours. I just want to make sure I'm getting as much input as I can, so don't feel like you're in a rush to answer or give your vote. I'm going to put them all up. Feel free to leave comments. I'm not going to read all the comments right away because I haven't watched all these movies yet. But if you want to state your case because I am going to use some comments in the end video. So every day for March, there's going to be a vote. And of course, you can vote for your favorite, but there are some categories I want you to consider. And these categories are going to play into my final video. So the categories are cultural impact and legacy. How impactful were these movies? Are they continuously referenced? Are they continually talked about? Are they well known? Are they underrated? Consider how impactful and the legacy of this movie. Then we have boundaries pushed. This can be in the story, this can be in the character design, it could be in the acting, it can be in the soundtrack, it can be in the writing. Whatever boundaries are pushed, give props to that. Because especially in the 70s, especially when we are really coming up on this height of horror and this new age horror for the time, it's really important to see what boundaries were pushed, and then not only how they were pushed, but also how they then went back into the cultural impact and legacy. I love a movie that pushes boundaries. I don't want to copy and paste. I want somebody who is not afraid to push a boundary. The next thing I want you to consider is story. Story is really important to me. You guys know I need story. And it's not so much that I need it to be completely thought out, deep. It doesn't have to be like that. What I want most in the story is that there is one and that it sticks the landing. How a movie ends always makes it or breaks it for me. I need a movie to stick a landing. When they choose how to end it, I don't like movies that have multiple endings. Yes, you can do a fake out and then have one conclusive ending, but if there's like confusion left because they didn't know how to end it, or they just didn't do what needed to be done to make this movie great, that's where you kind of lose points for me. So really consider the story, but especially if they stick the landing. The fourth thing I want you to consider, of course, is fear, dread, or terror. Any of these dark feelings you want out of horror. Not every movie is going to be shaking in your boots scary, but maybe it fills you with dread. Maybe it's paranoia. Maybe it's just terrifying in a very dark and twisted way. We are voting for the best horror or horror adjacent movie from the 70s here. It has to have some of this. The next two are very, very important to me as well for a movie. This one especially is performance. So we do have to look at actor performance. Now, there are really good movies with poor performances, but that's when the story and the terror drive the movie more than the performances. But I just watched one recently, actually, that the performances of the movie actually took away from the terror. So if we're talking about the best movie, the top movie, it has to really feed into performance. The performances have to be believable, they have to support the story, stick the landing, and they have to make sure that they don't take away from the terror and the dread. Can the dialogue be shitty? Sure. Can the acting be a little bit off? Yes. But in the moments where it matters most, in plot twists, in scary moments, and all these things, it has to be good. And then the final thing to consider, because I really love 70s and 80s and even into the 90s, score. I want a movie that has a score. It doesn't have to be out of this world. It doesn't have to be like the best score in the world. but it has to complement the movie. When you hear it, you know what it is, and it has to give you a feeling. That's what I'm really looking for. So I want you to consider this when you vote, but more importantly, these categories are gonna be what I'm grading, basically, all these movies on. So I've already watched a lot of these. Not really, I've watched like 5. More now, I've already started. But I'm also gonna rewatch those, and I'm going to score them out of 5 in each category. Every movie is going to have a score out of 30 at the end of this bracket. So at the end of March, I'm going to collect everything and I'm going to film a video. And I'm going to go through what everybody scored, how we move through the bracket, all the matchups. But I'm going to give you my takes and also taking your comments. So if your comments maybe agreed with some of the things I noticed or I disagree with your comments, it's going to be more of a discussion. And then I'm going to voice if the bracket would have looked differently for me. You know, the bracket winner is going to be the communities because you are voting. This is your bracket. But I do want to have input. I do want to make it engaging. And then this also pushes me to really appreciate these movies, which I'm so excited for. There's so many good ones in here. I'm really excited. So that's basically how it's going to look. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, voting starts tomorrow, March 1st. If you're seeing this after March 1st, probably the first week of polls, I'll leave up even longer because I really want to make sure you guys are getting it in. And then I will private them or do what I need to do when the voting is over. Where there is a split vote, so if it's tied, instead of me being the tiebreaker, I'm actually going to pass it on to Patreon just because I'm still watching these movies, so in the moment the tie needs to be broken, I may not be able to break the tie. I'm so excited to get this going. You can give your predictions below on who you think is going to win. We're also going to do a third place because I want to kind of have the top 3. Predict below if you want, and yeah, I'm excited. Let's get into it.